Lilo and Stitch is one of my favorite animated movies. It's incredibly rewatchable, enjoyable for the entire family, very imaginative, and deeply heartfelt. There are so many moments of the movie I can pull from as examples, and the soundtrack opened my ears to artists I probably wouldn't have ventured out to find. Critics speak on the Disney Renaissance films endlessly, but leave out arguably still one of the top 3 films to come out of Disney Animation Studios in the 21st century. The opening sequence of Lilo and Stitch is an example of the imaginative depth the movie has. Hawaii is the main setting for the runtime, but everything that happens in space, from the designs of the mothership, the cruisers, and the aliens, to the dialogue presenting that Earth is only protected from destruction not because of the human population, but because of the mosquito population, is thorough, sometimes hilarious, and at many times interesting. Even the weapons have a toy-like personality. Lilo herself is another deeply imaginative character. Her coping with being pushed away by other kids in her age group, her only family being her sister, and finding a friend in Stitch is effortless to rewatch and lovable.
A falling star! I call it, get out, I have to make a wish!
Though most of the movie's time is spent on Stitch, Lilo is indisputably the soul of the movie. Nani is probably one of the best human characters from a Disney film. She's doing her best to keep up with the responsibilities of working, being a guardian, and being the head of the household. Every scene with her, as well as every scene with her and Lilo interacting, feels like genuine human dialogue. Screenplay writers Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders nail this brilliantly.
So why don't you sell me and buy a rabbit instead?
At least a rabbit will behave better than you!
Go ahead, then you'll be happy because it will be smarter than me too.
And quieter!
You'll like it because it's stinky like you!
Go to your room!
I'm already in my room!
The surrounding cast of characters from David and Agent Bubbles, but particularly Jumba and Pleakley, feel like they had a strong enough character base to stand on their own and not just fall like cardboard cutouts. Being one of the final films from the Disney production house to use traditional animation, the art and animation is top-notch. Not just that, but the traditional animation is mixed with CG animation, an experimental technique of American animated films I look back on fondly in movies like Sinbad, Treasure Planet, Spirit, and many others released at the end of the 20th century and beginning of the 21st century.
Confirmed. He's taken a police cruiser.
Yeah, he took the red one.
This is truly one of Disney's best films, and of course, I wasn't the only one to enjoy it. Lilo and Stitch is one of the biggest behemoths in the industry. A single film released in 2002 spawned 3 movie sequels, a theme park ride, 3 video games, Lilo and Stitch Disney Channel series, and 2 spin-off shows, one based in Japan that ran from 2011 to 2015, and another based in China in 2017. Even in 2020, 18 years later, a manga titled Tono and Stitch interestingly has the character accidentally time jump to 15th century Japan. Saying that Disney's really milked this property for all it has would be an understatement. But of course, Disney in all its infinite cash-grabbing wisdom isn't done. Just before the dark cloud of COVID, Disney announced that a live-action Lilo and Stitch remake was in the works, with an expected release of 2021 exclusive to Disney+. One of the biggest reactions the world had about the remake was fear of Stitch being some ugly and strange beast-like creature, but I believe Stitch is the last thing anyone should worry about. Disney has some of the world's greatest computer-generated character animators, and after WB's debut of Detective Pikachu and Disney Plus flagship series Mandalorian's Baby Yoda, I have incredible confidence that Disney will make Stitch as cute and merchandisable as possible. Plus, the original voice of Stitch will return. There's literally nothing to worry about with Stitch. My greatest curiosity is of both Lilo and Nani. The director, who is still yet to be announced, will really have to guide the child actor who will play Lilo, as the character has a lot of personality. One of the greatest problems Disney remakes have had is making their main characters be as expressive as possible. However, when done right, like in 2016's Jungle Book, the director perfectly maximizes the actor's expressiveness, even in a world of CGI around him. Additionally, Nani is such a special character, and as I talked about earlier, her conversations and arguments with Lilo and in general with anyone in the original movie were delivered like genuine human dialogue, thanks to the voice performance of Tia Carrere. Getting an actor who will deliver dialogue as naturally and un-Disney Channel-like as she did is truly necessary. Discussing dialogue brings us to the remake's writer, Mike Van Wees. Additionally, we have to wonder what contents Disney may want to scrap from any creative moves the team may want to make, and how that may alter the movie too. The only other big priority I see is directing and CGI quality. The remake will be produced by Dan Lin and Jonathan Eyrick, the same duo that produced the Aladdin remake, and as I said before, a director is still yet to be announced. Whatever you think of the live-action Aladdin remake, much of the film's camera angles, choices, and overall direction were safe and generic. I was disappointed to find a lack of more cinematic flair. On a positive note, at least the remake will be shot in Hawaii. One of the biggest factors is the lack of the original creative force from the 2002 film. As Dean DeBlois responded in a Variety live-streamed panel in 2020, Lilo and Stitch was so quirky, such a singular voice. It was Chris Sanders' sensibility brought to life in such a personal way. It started as a children's story. It's so specific that the idea of another team coming in to remake it without Chris involved, without any of the team involved, is kind of crazy. It's not a time-tested classic, it's not a fairy tale, it's not a staple of folklore, it's as individual as it could be. Now, this Lilo and Stitch will likely be a safe cash grab, and my expectations for live-action adaptations from the Mouse House are at an all-time low. My hope is that the film finds a capable director that understands and can pull the tone of the animated film to live action, can direct a child actor to maximize the lovable individuality Lilo has, a writer that features believable human dialogue, and though this is a remake, still features new imaginative moments. One of my greatest dreams for this remake is if it was set in the early 2000s, before smartphones and social media, because the smartphone era brings an entirely new dynamic. Of course, my greatest dream for the remake is that it simply doesn't get made. But what do you guys think of Lilo and Stitch getting a live-action adaptation coming next year? As I said before, I'm not all that excited. I wish they just went further away from it. By the way, I'm considering making a video about live-action adaptations I would actually like to see that would probably benefit Disney. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that video and what you think of this one. Anyway, thanks for watching. As always, stay tuned for more.